Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode brought to you by our sponsors at Blinkist. All right, what's up everybody? Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Tom. I'm here with somebody who I cannot tell you how much I enjoy hanging out with, and that is the one, the only Noah Kagan. Dude, welcome to the show, my friend.
It's good to see you again. I love talking with you about this stuff.
Dude, same, man. I really wish that we were hanging out in person. I've found that doing these shows, man, it really makes a difference. Like, there are weird, subtle little cues that you pick up on from people when you're in the same space that just doesn't quite happen when you're on a Zoom or a Skype call. There's just enough lag that it's different. It's very different.
What do you notice? Like, what have you seen in person that you kind of miss on the digital?
So I don't even know what it is I'm picking up on. So I was doing a show yesterday. No, it was one of my favorite episodes ever. It was Health Theory. And this guy is doing research into the brain, the exact parts of the brain that I had to change or the mechanisms that I used to change that I try to explain to people, but I never knew the neuroscience specifically to this. And so he's able to explain like how you build desire, like desire as a process, like what the neurochemistry is of it, how you reframe something that was traumatic, the neurochemistry of that, which that one I remember is acetylcholine. And acetylcholine basically pops up whenever there's a super high or a super low, and it focuses your attention. And he's just all over the mechanisms of change, like how you prime yourself for brain plasticity if you're older. It was just really fucking hype on it. But the problem was the internet was like off a little bit, so he'd freeze. His mouth was like just a little bit out of sync. And then most importantly, like those moments where you want to ask a follow-up question, you can see in somebody's body language or if they take a breath or if they twitch and you're like, oh, they want to ask me something. So you stop. So otherwise I'd have to be like, oh, wait, but he couldn't hear because when you're talking on Skype, you don't quite fucking get it. So it was like, I told him at the end of the episode, his name's Andrew Huberman, really interesting guy, Stanford professor, fucking amazing. And I was like, we've got to do this again in person. And that was the first moment since this kicked off where I was angry about the fact that we're having to isolate. Because as an introvert, I've not been emotionally traumatized. This has been fucking amazing. So economically, obviously an atrocity, and I truly don't wish this on anybody. But the fact that it's happening also has an upside. It's not all upside, but
I think it's got a lot of upside, man. That's definitely. I think I came out of my cave. I've been hibernating for years, and then finally, this whole experience just like woke me up, man. Like I was kind of just calling it in, if that makes sense. You know, sitting on the sidelines, kind of just being like, all right, we have a business and I have a podcast and we kind of have some stuff, and you know, I've never felt more excited or more opportunistic and more optimistic now than ever before.
That's cool, man. I've seen the amount of content that you've been putting out. It's really extraordinary. All stuff that I think is hyper usable. I think it's rad. Why are you so driven by that? Like, why is this a cool moment for you?
So I think there's a few different pieces. So it all started where the first 3 days, I think I lost a few $100,000 in the stock market. Oof. And so like every morning I'm waking up and I'm just like, yo, this really sucks. Like I'm scared. And I think every single person now, I think everyone in the world knows what it's like to be an entrepreneur, which is some days you're the best, you're the queen of the world, and other days you're like a bum. And so that, you know, that's an entrepreneur journey. But coronavirus, I think I was so scared. And then I started thinking like, how do I fix this? Like, how do I actually address this fear? And I think what got me excited is, all right, I started putting plans in place. And then I started realizing like the coronavirus is so amazing because it's an equalizer. Coronavirus gives every single person now who's stuck at home, because every single person, famous, poor, anybody you can think of, is stuck at home, and it gives everyone a chance to prove themselves. And this guy Mitchell, who I work with, you know, the first few days I went to him and I complained, and I was like, I was looking for him to do the complain party. You know, that party where you do it and you want them to join. You're like, yo, bro, come over here. And he did do it. And what Mitchell said to me that changed everything was he said, I don't know if it's going to be 6 months or 6 years, but this is going to end. And I want to look back thinking I did everything possible to make this time better. And I think the quote or thing that kind of stuck with me is like, don't let coronavirus go to waste. And so for me, it's just been like, all right, I'm not going to let it go to waste. And I think a lot of people who got fired, awesome. Don't blame your boss. He just gave you a hookup. They just blessed you with freedom. And now it's a chance that you have time. You have time to go do a lot of things. And so there's just so many good things going on with it. I know people are dying, which is bad. And that part I don't like. But I think the money thing, it's a good realization of like, hey, are you actually that important or not? Is your business that important or not? And if not, let's go get it fixed.
Yeah, this really is the living example of you're going to get more of what you focus on. Because look, there's real shit going on right now that I don't want people to, because I actually hedge my bets a little bit when I talk about the optimism, or I talk about, hey, I'm an introvert, and part of this has actually been really fun for me. I do hedge it because in the background is I am also legitimately afraid. My wife, I'll put her sort of loosely in the immunocompromised group. I'm terrified that she will get this. I worry about something happening to her, and I don't even want to say out loud. Obviously, my fear is, I think, very plain. I think people understand. But I don't even want to say it out loud because it's like, if you get it, you've got to fight and all that. But it's like, I'm so supremely confident that if I got it, just the sheer force of will that I have, I would get on the other side of this. So that side is real, and it bums me out, and I don't like to think too much about it. But once I set aside, so that's all the hedging that I'm going to do. I want people to understand I am wildly aware fortunes will be lost. I'm wildly aware that the only thing any of us should really care about is lives are going to be lost.
Big time.
But so now, having said all that I'm not operating in a vacuum, I will say the fucking heroism is intoxicating. Like, watching people go out and serve and do just beautiful shit for humanity is amazing. Anytime where the chessboard gets turned over, like if you were losing, that's the greatest thing ever, right? Because this shit is, like you said, it's a great equalizer. Mother Nature does not give a fuck if you're rich, if you're poor, nothing, right? But what unfortunately does care is skill set oftentimes is determined by where you grew up. That shit freaks me out. Now,
big time.
The opportunity to get that skill set's not determined by where you grew up, but as of right now, certainly in America, and I would guess everywhere, your zip code is a far more accurate predictor of your future success than your IQ. So it's like, no, that fucking freaks me out. So anyway, you have a moment where the chessboard's been flipped over, all the pieces are fucking up in the air. And for anybody who's willing to identify the opportunity and then develop the skill set to go and do it, that's where this gets really fucking interesting. But if you're throwing the pity party and you're looking at those things to the exclusion of the potential opportunities that'll be created, then you will see that it is so easy to find the negative in all of this, to look at it, to see it. If you've been touched by it, somebody you know or love died, like, wow, like that gets real easy. So for people to choose to focus on something that will, like getting fired, oh cool, my boss just gave me a hookup, this is an opportunity, right? Be very easy to see why you should be panicking. It's going to be a lot harder to see why you should be stoked. So that is this moment, right? So the people that stay level-headed and know what to look for.
Well, I think there's a few things there. Like, I feel like the people who have more should be giving. And if you don't have enough right now, this is a chance to ask. And if you have more, like right now, I feel like I'm everyone's confidence cheerleader. And I have a lot, right? I'm not normally always confident. I'm not normally always positive, but I feel like I have a lot around mostly around the business parts. And I think what most people are feeling is anxiety, right? And people are uncertain. And it's really coming down because they don't have control. Like, they didn't control their job. They didn't control the virus. And, I think you got to sulk. I just got off a call with a guy who said he spent 8 hours straight watching Netflix. And he doesn't have a job. He just got fired. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. Great. Like, take 8 hours, go real deep, hit the bottom of the trough, and now let's come back up. And so I think the things that I've been working on, I know your audience really appreciates this. And I've just been experimenting and figuring out, okay, how do I reduce my fear? How do I reduce my anxiety? How do I get more plans in place? Because when you put a plan in place, which is what we've done in our business, and I'm experimenting in my personal to find what works for me, I get my control back. I get my life back. And then it helps kind of fluctuate or reduce the fluctuation of my mood swings. So I'm not waking up.
You're not waking up what?
Well, no, I'm not waking up. I was waking up at 7 a.m. talking to my stepfather for 2 to 3 hours every morning, saying like, hey, the stock market thing, my mother's refusing to not go out. She's complaining that the gyms are closed. A lot of anxiety. And so it's like, all right, how do I have more ways to reduce my fear? And so just coming up with a lot of strategies for that.
Dude, I think that's really smart. This is something I was talking to Andrew Huberman about was, so there's this thing, I forget the name of it, there's initials for it, but basically if you rapidly move your eyes from side to side, it helps people reduce negative emotion. And I was like, that is absolutely false. I was like, that's the most absurd thing I have ever heard in my life, and you take that back right now. And he was like, no, he was like, let me tell you why. He said, that's what your eyes are doing when you're moving forward. And he said, regions of the brain just have to like figure out how to orient themselves, how to know what to reward and punish. And he said there are regions of your brain, literally that's what they do. They reward you for some things. And he said there are other aspects of your brain, I mean, we all know this. There are parts of your brain that are pro-depressive. They make you feel badly about doing something. And he said one of the things that you'll get rewarded for is forward movement, because if you're on a hunt or you're pursuing resources like, throw this way back into an evolutionary past, and it was like the brain had to reward certain activities that were pro-survival. And one of those was going on a hunt, was moving forward to find, the next kill. And he said, as you do that, you're getting these things that move past you. And so your eye movement is clocking these things as they move. So as you move your eyes from side to side, it is the equivalent of walking forward. And he was like, so it has, he said, 4 now very high-level papers have come out on the topic. And I thought, this is actually really interesting so I've always told entrepreneurs that action cures all. Now, that's me going, anecdotally, I will just tell you, all the times where I felt afraid, I was fucking overwhelmed. Like, what is happening to me right now is so overwhelming. I can't say, I have the chills from thinking about how it feels in those moments where you're so fucking overwhelmed. And every single time, just saying, okay, I'm going to take one thing and I'm going to just fucking do it. I'm going to go after that. I'm going to try to solve that one problem. And the way that it shifts your brain is so fucking powerful. Now, I've always thought of it from a sort of 30,000 foot view of it's taking you out of, being in the problem, and it's switching you into problem solving mode. And problem solving mode just feels better. But hearing the brain mechanisms and the neurotransmitters and things that are involved in actually making that pleasurable and why it helps lift people out of that depressive state is pretty fucking powerful. So control, like going back to what you were saying about control, man, that is a really big deal.
It's also confidence, man. Like if you lose your job, and I always joke, you didn't lose your job, you know where it is. You just don't have it anymore. It's not lost. You haven't found the right job, I always like to think of it more as a career. And so I think you're really right with the confidence. It's like you need to get that W. And so like one of the things that I've been doing throughout the day is a thing called, I've got 2 things that I think that I've been using that I found really helpful. One is a mood board. And so it's not
the mood you want to feel, or tracking the mood you're in? Tracking.
So I literally just do this throughout the day. I just created a note. It's nothing fancy. I didn't pay for any software. And so I have a thing called mood in my notes. And throughout the day, I generally do it in the morning.
Your camera's blurring it out, so we can't see. You have to hold it by your face.
Oh, hold it by my face?
Yeah. Wow, it's even doing that. No. Oh, there we go. Oh, for a brief second. Cool. Got it.
All right, so what's on my mood board? And I think everyone should be doing this because, I don't know, I'll just say it's helping me, and I can recommend it. So what I do is in the morning or whatever time of day, I'm checking in, how's my mood? Like, number 1, like, day is the worst day ever. 5, literally, like, this is the best day ever. Then I write why, right? So today it was because I had coffee. I'm going to talk to you. I made bone broth. I did my Hebrew. I have some of my checklist stuff. So I started the day right. And then the most important part is the next column, which is if you're not at a 5, what are you going to do about it right now? And so my only thing today was keep going. Just keep going. But yesterday I felt like crap. I was a 3 in the morning. So I said, stop playing chess, because I was playing a lot of chess and losing. And it made me really upset. So I said, go do some push-ups right now and focus on your daily checklist. So the mood board has been really powerful. And then I've been doing a thing called Gebby, which I think we talked about a long time ago.
Yeah. I don't know if you did, because I don't remember what it is, so this would be a good refresher, but I remember you introducing me to that string of syllables, which I had never heard before.
Well, so the mood board is something, it's free, you could do it instantly, and it really just helps you identify like what's going on and how can I improve it immediately? How can I get that W? The Gebby and what I'm trying to accomplish is how can every morning start out great? Like having a conversation with you like this.
Is Gebby an acronym?
Yeah, it's gratitude, exercise, breakfast, and you.
Yes.
So every single day in the morning, I'm like, yo, what am I grateful for? And so it's generally, most of the times, most of my gratefulnesses are really stupid. Like sometimes it'll be cuddling in bed. It's not like feeling good at home. I got a treadmill desk. This was yesterday's treadmill desk, and the sun. So gratitude, exercise, do something. I've been doing
Really,
this
really fast before you move off on that,
Yeah.
and I do want to hear about the push-up thing because your goal is insane. But one thing I think that's really interesting, because I'm the same. So in terms of my gratitude stuff, it's usually really simple shit. Like being grateful for success and whatever is wonderful, but you just sort of end up repeating it. Whereas when you get into the smaller things, it's like different. You realize, fuck, like my whole life is actually a bunch of textures of like Lisa. I looked over at her first thing in the morning. I wasn't expecting her to be awake, and she just fucking beamed me with this smile, right? Like fuck, like that really hit me. So having things like that is super important. One thing that I want people to really, really think about and get perspective is, okay, through all of this, and look, I'm not a doomsday person at all, but I think you have to run the scenarios, right? So we're living through something right now where the scenarios could get pretty gnarly. It could end with banking collapsing. It could end with people rioting in the streets. Like I'll say a low probability, but it's on the spectrum of things that could happen. And so I thought, okay, well, why doesn't that give me a tremendous spike of anxiety? And there are two reasons. One, because I believe that if you have the right skill set, you can always rebuild. And I find tremendous comfort in that. So going back to your confidence and control, it's like because I know that I know how to learn and I can get a skill set that goes wherever I need it to go, and I know that I have the discipline to follow it through, I know that I have a willingness to take action so that things don't overwhelm me. It's just like I've learned all these things about me through going through horrendous periods of my life, and I see how I act in moments of crisis. Cool. So I'm very confident that I will handle myself well, even if I have to build from scratch. Number two is that when I really think about the things that that influence my internal state in a direction that I want them to be. So my 1 to 5, right? Like what are the things that are going to take me into a 5? Oftentimes it's really simple shit. Lisa's a big part of it, right? So being able to be around her, to touch her, to be supported by her, those are huge. But then even setting the human thing aside, if I have access to books, man, and I'll take a ratty version that I got for $0.25 at a used bookstore, I'm fine. But like books, access to movies, like if you give me books I like to read and a fucking Netflix account, it's like at the end of the day, even if I had to watch it like on a cheap phone, like there is a level of joy that those relatively simple things bring me that's pretty extraordinary. And because I have taken very intentional sort of account of what are the things that I love doing. Like right there in that moment, I'm totally swallowed by that thing. Maybe for some people it's a cup of coffee. For me, it is a dope, like I'm really into Japanese manga. So reading like some sick manga or reading like a fiction book, sci-fi especially, or watching a movie, like, dude, those things are so gnarly to me. They take me, when they're good, they take me all the way to a 5. Like the days that I was reading, the last book that just fucking owned me was Ready Player One. And dude, every day that I had that book in my hands was a 5. It was just so rad. So when you know, like, oh, cool, the things I can default to are super cheap, and you know, in the case of a book, like have high degrees of survivability. There's something there that I find deep comfort in.
I think the thing I was curious for you is like, what makes a great day? Because I think for people out there that like have no confidence now, right now, like anything in the morning, that's what I do, Gebby, and some of these other things we can talk about. It's because you need confidence. You need to get some things that like make your bed where it's tiny, but you're like, I feel better about myself. Now I can go do something else. But like for you now, like what does your day look like for like, that's a 5? Because I think some people, what I've been even more intentional lately is what elements make a great day and how much am I actually putting that in my day?
Yes, that's the right question. So for me, the answer is my writing days are my favorite days. And I've constructed them to be almost orgiastically joyful. So I'm
going to borrow that word.
Please. So I am psychotic with discipline. Discipline is one of my superpowers. So I can make a random Tuesday the best night ever by breaking out of my discipline, right? So if I said on a Tuesday I'm going to have a bowl of ice cream and there was a reason for it, I could make it a celebration and put some time and attention on it and do it with my wife and like, but it's just a bowl of ice cream, right? And so for somebody who eats a bowl of ice cream every day, it wouldn't be necessarily that meaningful. So for people that don't know what my normal life looks like, so I basically work 7 days a week. I'm trying to build something that is so big, it's probably absurd. And it is very obviously challenging and difficult, and certainly given the circumstances. I have a lot of people vying for my time, so as much as I try to not be needed in the company, there's just inevitably a certain number of things that I'm the right person to address. When you're doing as many things as we're doing, even if it's a small number, even if only 0.5% of each person's needs end up pointing back at me, there's 25 people in the company, so you can see how very quickly it's like I have one or two things from every person every day that need something. So Wednesdays I've carved out where I say, look, this is my writing day. Don't put anything on my schedule. I don't allow myself to drink much soda. I just try to keep it to drinks that have been, being consumed for thousands of years. I figure the safety there is much higher. But
what is that? Which is that alcohol?
Coffee? No, I suppose wine probably, but I don't drink wine.
The monks. I was thinking about Belgian beer or something.
No, for me it's just coffee.
Okay.
So I normally just drink coffee, but on a Wednesday, on my writing day, I have this special little almost like crushed ice, and I'll have a mini Diet Coke. That shit fucking sets my day to a great place. So I work out in the morning. I get to write all day, creative stories, and here's what's important for me. The stories have to be building towards something. So I'm trying to build the next Disney. So writing stories that help me do that. Have we not talked about this before?
Not recently.
That's so funny. This literally, my whole life for the last, 6 years has been about building Disney. So writing the stories, they're the stories that we want to tell to build the kind of studio that we want to build. So I feel like, whoa, this story could really touch lives. So it isn't just writing, which I do love in and of itself, but it is something that leads to something. That's a huge thing for me in terms of meaning and purpose, and I like building things. So writing a story that's going to go on to do something, and having my little vice of a Diet Coke, and with the special little ice.
You're so naughty, Tom.
I know, it's terrible, right? So, but these are that's a 5. Even just describing it to you now, it's I'm getting excited because tomorrow's Wednesday. So it's I'm so looking forward to it, and I've really had to do very little things because know thyself, right? I know me. I know those things that really make me feel good. They get me excited. I look forward to them, and I have to be very intentional to carve that space out so that my team knows, look, Wednesday's the day. Just leave him be. He's working on the creative, and so it isn't. They're not 100% about it. But for the most part, it's that day is sort of walled off, and I can have the perfect day once a week, every week.
Why don't you try to do more of that, 4 days a week, epic, and 1 day a week kind of? Because I did a thing last week. We're doing a variety show. I just thought everyone's stuck at home, so I was like, why don't I try to recruit people who are unemployed and pay them and have them come entertain people for free? And I spent 2 days recruiting people. And then we did the show, and I wasn't able to get any of the guests I wanted, so I ended up just playing their videos. I played their YouTube videos. And I just was really disappointed in myself. I didn't think I put on a great show. And I was like, well, what's really wrong here? And I was like, well, I know what my superpower is, right? I love entertaining, I love raw, I love promoting. But Mitchell on our team is a great organizer, he's a great recruiter, he's kind of like your Christopher. And I was like, Mitchell, you spend more time over there, which you like. I'm going to just spend more time in my area. And so I think with you, I wonder, how do you get more time 3 days a week doing your epicness and maybe 2 days a week doing the less epic?
Well, I'll give you the answer to that. So that's not my only path to 5. So my weekends are usually 5. So that's already 3 days right there. So the weekends, I only do work that's fun. So I literally, if it's really house on fire, sure. But for the most part, I try to save any work that I have to do on the weekends. It's all the things that I enjoy the in and of itself doing. So that helps a lot. And then on the weekends, my priority isn't actually the business. So even though I work most weekends, my priority is my wife. And so right now, because we're on lockdown, I get 1 day just with my wife. And then my sister, who's actually quarantined with us 5 out of 7 days, is here on Sundays. So Saturday is totally dedicated to my wife. And then Sunday is family day where the 3 of us are all together. We watch movies, we play video games. The 3 of us actually play the same video game. It is inordinate amounts of fun.
Which game?
So it's Destiny 2. Unfortunately, even though it's a AAA title, it's compared to Fortnite and stuff, it's much, much, much smaller. but still very, very.
Are you playing any? Are you playing any Oculus?
I had an Oculus, and I had done some of the really rudimentary stuff, but I know that you box with Oculus, if I'm not mistaken.
Dude, I
Tell me
love the
more.
Oculus. Well, I'll talk about the game stuff, but first thing I'm thinking, if I'm an audience member, I'm like, all right, Tom worked at this company. He's made some money. The guy's pretty wealthy at this point. Why is he having any non-fun work? Because I think a lot of people say they look at me and they say, oh, okay, he's got some money. They look at Tom like, God, that guy's got a lot of money. And you kind of imagine like, why isn't every day just perfect? Like, it's interesting that you actually add that to your life, because I think a lot of people assume that you get to some level and you've removed it.
I think if you do that, you're really in trouble. So this is a concept I've heard you talk about, so I know that you're on the same board. It's really about fulfillment. So I'm not chasing momentary happiness. And there is, like, a Diet Coke is momentary happiness. There's zero fulfillment to that. And so it does play into a hedonistic 5-day. But really, I'm looking for a month to be fulfilling. So a lot of times fulfillment is born out of suffering. It's doing something fucking hard. I hate working out, but I do it 5 days a week because it makes me feel strong. It actually makes me strong. It keeps me feeling young. It gives me energy. It gives me the look that I want, the health benefits, all that. So it's something that's important to me that I do, and I'm also proud of myself for doing it because it's hard, because I don't want to do it, but it has these, leads towards a goal that I want. So I think that, as you have said very eloquently in the past, people should be chasing fulfillment. So fulfillment is it's a way harder game to define or to get people to understand, because any one day, like, part of what makes me proud of myself and to feel deeply fulfilled is that I don't let boredom stop me. So to build what I want to build. So Jeff Bezos summed this up perfectly. He said, every job has some amount of overhead. So there's going to be some amount of doing things you don't want to do, right? And it just is what it is. And so I routinely check my life for things that I don't like doing and I don't need to do. And I try to eliminate all of those. But there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, yeah, to get what I want in the long run, to help the people I want to help, to serve in the way that I want to serve, I have to fucking do this. And so I just do it. And I'm actually, even though in the moment it's not fun, at a higher level, it makes me proud of myself. And so that feeling is rad.
I had my assistant Jamie go through all of your shows and find your most popular ones, and then figure out what are the elements. And so she came back, and that's kind of what we structured a lot of, like, the content and things I wanted to make sure I shared, because I know what your audience likes to hear. But the two things that I thought were interesting, I'm curious how you address them, is one, your superpower is discipline. I think a lot of people that maybe lost their jobs, maybe don't have a business yet, maybe don't have or a job they just like. I don't think everyone needs to be an entrepreneur. But what do they do if their superpower is not discipline? Maybe let's start with that. And then I think the other thing that, like, I was asking Mitchell, I said, what do I do that you find unique? And he's like, well, you just do stuff. You don't really always think about it. And so Jamie actually said she started listening to some of your shows, and she said, I am going to go take action now. And so that was something that I thought was exciting, in figuring out, like, together, me and you, like, how do we encourage more of your audience? And I have an idea what we can talk about a little bit, how to get them to take more action. So I'm curious for your thoughts with that, with, like, how do people who discipline's not their superpower, and maybe we can brainstorm how to get these people to, all right, let's go take action as well to some of that discipline.
It's interesting. I think you and I are the 1-2 punch on this that people need. So here's how I view us. So the side that I attack it from is internally, what's going on with you, and what are you going to have to overcome? What are you going to have to believe and value? The neurochemicals that you're going to have to learn to corral and harness and point. That's my game, right? Your game is you think this is complicated, but this is deadly simple. And when people listen to you, it's like, oh my God, your brilliance is in the simplicity of do this. Like the thing that you've become famous for, which is one of literally 1,000 things that you could be known for, because they are all as amazing as the next. But the whole go get discount on your next coffee or tea.
The coffee challenge.
It really stuck with people. And it stuck with people because it's so simple and so powerful. And it shakes you out of your normal frame of, well, the price is there on the board and that's it. And I follow that rule and don't even realize it's a rule. And so you shake people out of that. So The way that I think about it, to answer your very specific question, because I actually think they then have to follow it with your, like, go do this, is you have to realize if you don't have discipline, like I wasn't born with discipline. I've developed discipline because I could see its utility. So people look at me, and if you want to know what I was born with, because most people probably are born with something that's a quote-unquote gift, and they didn't do a lot to earn it. My verbal ability, I didn't do a lot to earn. Now, I've done a lot to sharpen it, and I've put easily 30,000 hours worth of effort into my ability to articulate ideas, to be captivating, to do this, which of course I didn't know anything about social media or that it would ever exist, but because it was so good in so many other areas, I just really poured myself into it. So I'm a kid that found speech and debate when I was in the 7th grade, and so I started going hard at that point. I began to realize that writing is very much like being able to think and speak, so those two things came together, so I put a lot of time and energy into that as well. I wanted to be a stand-up comic, so I've spent an unimaginable amount of time in front of a mirror with a hairbrush performing routines. So I've put a lot of time. So anything where you're like, well, sure, it's easy for you because it's verbal. Cool, I'm going to take that. Now, on everything else that people look at and say, well, it's easy for you to be an entrepreneur because you were probably born with that. Literally zero. I had zero entrepreneurial instincts or abilities. I didn't have discipline. In fact, discipline was the one thing I really lacked. I had big dreams. I've always been a big dreamer, but I didn't have the drive to see things through. So I had to learn that, which was not easy because I wanted to. I mean, my mom quietly assumed I was going to fail when I left for college because she was like, "You're so lazy." And I was. And that wasn't like her being mean or misidentifying me. I really was lazy. I really am lazy, to be quite frank.
Be excellent at something, Tom.
Right? And so what I found to finally answer the question you actually asked is I realized, okay, discipline is useful. It's a skill I need. And by that point, I had realized everything is a process. Desire is a process. Love is a process. And so I just had to walk the process of building desire, because having the desire for something will make the discipline really easy. So building up desire, I found, was the key. So going through the process of building desire and then rewarding myself like crazy for being disciplined. And then discipline became this sort of thing that every time I was disciplined, I felt so good about myself. And because of that, I had this thing that I really wanted, and I got to reward myself emotionally every time I stayed focused, didn't go party. I just did that thing. I got to tell myself this story about who I was that felt good. And you put those two things together, and now all of a sudden I'm disciplined.
I'm curious to follow up to this, which is one of the things I've always believed is it's really easy to get what you want when you know what you want.
Yes.
But knowing what you want, and you label it as desire, which I even think it sounds so sexy. But I think the hard part is how the hell do you figure out what you want?
Yeah.
Right? Because to get it, I think once you know your destination, you're like, oh, I just drive this way. And so like one thing I did this year, and then I'm curious how you did it. I did a fantasy. So like
what your fantasy year would look like?
Yeah, I just wrote up. I was like, Noah, I wasn't feeling good, and some other personal things. And so I was like, what is the craziest year that I could possibly have? And I just started writing my fantasy. And it was like, some of the things were like, go to Oktoberfest, wear all the outfits, and have a crazy thing. Our business is this one thing that I couldn't even believe our business is this. I get a new bike that I love. I mean, some of it's small. Some of it is like, okay, Dork reaches 10 times the audience. And then I think from writing up the fantasy, I started really thinking, okay, well, what of this really matters? And then it was easy to be like, all right, maybe that kind of helped me understand where my desires were going. So I don't know, I guess how would you encourage, or how have you explored where, like, the studio? Is that just a childhood thing, or is that a recent thing, and like other things that you've desired?
Well, now you're getting into probably the most profound example of how I built desire in a way that even caught me off guard. So I believe everything is a process, right? If you want to fall in love, well, you better go on a date. You better find somebody that you're attracted to. I don't believe in love at first sight. So even if you're deeply compelled, there's something about that person, pheromones, their look, their laugh, whatever, find yourself incredibly drawn to them. That isn't love. So love to me needs to be reciprocated. It can be certainly infatuation if it's a one-way street. So, all right, you go on these dates, you find somebody that you're attracted to, you begin to build trust, you build a real relationship that's back and forth, there's intimacy, there's all these things. But you have to be doing things all along the way, communicating, proximity, getting near each other, doing all the things that you need to do to build a bond. Okay, I say all of that just to demystify love for a second so people can see that even is a process. So now with Quest, my first real passion was filmmaking. Then my second passion was getting rich. And I spent a long time trying to get rich. And I'll give everybody the punchline. You will live the cliche of money can't buy happiness. I wish it weren't so, but it is so. So the pursuit of money without the pursuit of meaning will leave you emotionally bankrupt. So don't bother. Let me have learned that lesson for you. So then I go, okay, well, then what is going to be my connection point to my next business? Passion, what's going to be the passion? What am I going to, because passion is a process. So how do I take something, put it at the center of my soul and make it real? At Quest, it was, wanted to save my mom and my sister. They were morbidly obese. I wanted to basically make food that they could choose based on taste, and it happened to be good for them. And so translated into a business statement, we wanted to end metabolic disease. Okay, cool. So through my mom and my sister, I really made that meaningful and important to me. Now, flash forward, I spent so much time and energy, it was almost a decade at Quest, spent so much time and energy on that, the only glowing ember at the center of my soul was ending metabolic disease. So now what? I'm going to pivot, I'm going to do something else. Okay, well, it's going to be storytelling for reasons I won't bother you with right now. And going back to my first love, which is filmmaking, but filmmaking in and of itself is a thing you do, it's not meaning. So what's going to be the meaning that I assign to it? Because I already know it has to be meaningful. So I was like, all right, here's something I've been thinking about for a while. I big brothered for this kid, Rashawn. I big brothered for 8.5 years, and I failed to save him from his zip code. So his life was turning out exactly the way one would expect from growing up where he grew up. And that made me very sad, but I was young and stupid when I knew him and could do nothing other than show him somebody loved and cared for him. But that really bothered me. And now at Quest, I had 3,000 employees, about 1,000 of them grew up hard like Rashawn had. So I was like, fuck, man, I don't want to let the same thing happen to these people. They're in my life. There's got to be a way for me to impact them. And so this whole notion of how am I going to impact them? What am I going to do? So I began to conceptualize building a media company. Because if you want to impact people at scale, it's got to be at an emotional level. You're never going to hit them at a logical level. So neuroscientists will tell you the way that humans assimilate truly disruptive information is through storytelling. We need something to hit us at a limbic level, right? It's why the art form of storytelling, there is not a single culture that doesn't have it. So we tell stories to open people's minds, to get them to take in lessons and things that will end up serving you. And so I was like, cool, that's what I'm going to do. Now, how do I marry just insane amount of intention and meaning to this? And I said, this is my chance to basically impact people in the way that I was unable to impact Rashawn. So there's this whole thing called the age of imprinting. It's 11 to 15, which is exactly when I knew Rashawn. I met him when he was 8 years old. So I met him in this window where I could have changed the course of his life and didn't. But step number one was admitting that I had failed Rashawn. Even now, dude, it makes me emotional to talk about that. Because I spent a lot of time saying, hey, yes, you showed him that somebody loved him, and that's fucking awesome, and you should be very proud of that. But you did fail to help him take his life in an area that would have worked out better for him. And so owning that I had failed him and that I didn't want to fail more people and that I didn't want anybody to get to the age of 15 without encountering a growth mindset. Now I'm saying all this, not diminishing my sense of self. I'm not, feeling badly about who I am. I'm so proud that I tried and that with what I knew at that time, I did what I could. But I'm not hiding from the fact that I did not get the outcome that I desired. So in talking about that and telling other people, hey, I failed this kid, and I don't want to fail more people. Hey, I'm building the studio. Let me tell you why I'm building the studio, because I really believe that we can embed some really amazing ideas in just entertaining shit. And I said, imagine if one studio had made Star Wars, The Matrix, Karate Kid, Rocky IV, Rocky I, like all these fucking just rad, you can do it, motherfucker. You just have to believe, come on. And because Yoda changed my life. Yoda led me to Taoism, and Taoism literally laid the foundation for me from like 14 to 25. It was, I mean, when people ask what's the gift that you, or the book you've gifted the most in your life, for sure for me it was the Tao Te Ching. I fucking used to give that thing out like candy. So like that was just, it really laid this foundation for the way that I think, which led me to a growth mindset, which then changes my entire life. So it's like I really believe in the power of storytelling to incept people, and I had to start telling myself a story about what Rashawn now meant and what that failure was and my opportunity to help people. If you watch a video, just you search my name plus master plan. You'll get a YouTube video that comes up, and you will see the result, because 10 years ago, if you'd asked me about Rashawn, I would talk just like I'm talking now. There was a sense of like, oh man, I'm really bummed out, but like it was a beautiful thing for him. It was, wonderful for me to truly give to somebody. There was nothing he could have given me in return other than love, right? It was just me trying to look after a kid that was in a really shitty situation. And so, but anyway, it becomes beautiful, and is one of the reasons that I truly understand what it means to have children. Long way of saying, watch that video. You'll see how an avalanche, a tidal wave of emotion hit me, which I wasn't expecting. I could have predicted it, but I just wasn't expecting it. Because that was the end process of me telling people, hey, I failed this kid. This is what this all means to me. Knowing this is the process. This is the process of making it mean something, is saying it to myself, articulating it to other people, doing what I'm doing now, which is embodying it, right? Elevating my emotions, feeling it, like really letting myself feel it. And you do that over and over and over, and it becomes real, right? In the beginning, it was a little bit of BS. It was like, I am going to knowingly take this thing from my past and reshape it so that it becomes very meaningful and current in my life now today. And in doing that, now I have rewired my brain to think about all of that with these heightened emotions.
Well, I think number one, you tried with, if you like Yoda, I know personally sometimes I don't like the word try. I'm curious.
I'm with you.
The two things I'm observing that you said. One, it took you 10 years to get rich. And longer than that. I think some people are starting businesses or watch you because they want inspiration. And they're like, I instantly want to be wealthy or have a side hustle. And I'm like, I don't know if you guys heard, it took over 10 years. So if you're really commit 10 years. Second thing you said, you have just gigantic visions. I'm like, I'm going to try to sell 10 bananas. Tom's like, I'm going to try to fix this diet in the whole world. And so I think that is something to people need to aspire for. Another thing you said, you made me reflect on, I was doing something, I was trying to recruit these variety people a few weeks before, and I failed at it, right? Like people weren't saying yes to me, and I was disappointed in myself. And then like about an hour later, I was like, oh, this is just a test to see if I really want it. This is just a test, right? And so I think we have these tests. Do you really care to help do the studio? Do you really care to help fix the diet? And then it's just a reflection for you to say, yes, I do, or no, I really didn't. I didn't have the conviction for it. I am curious if you could go back to Rashawn, like, is there anything you could have done differently?
Yes, unfortunately. If I knew what I knew now, yes. So the very sad news, so I was very young when this happened. This is me trying to feel less badly about it. I was 18 when I met him. Unfortunately, he was being abused, and I didn't know. And he just kept begging me to live with me. Let me live with you. Let me live with you. Dude, I'm broke at this point. And I'm just like, man, I can't, dude. Like, I'm fucking broke. I'm in college. Like, you know what I mean? So the way that my relationship with him went, he was supposed to be an 8-week extra credit assignment where I go in and tutor him at his school, and he was a problem child. And at week 6, you're supposed to tell him, hey, I'm only coming for 2 more weeks. I told him, he went absolutely insane. I'd literally never seen a human act that unhinged before. And finally I calmed him down. I'm like, is this because I said I was only coming for 2 more weeks? And he was like, yes. And I said, all right, look, man, I'll make you a promise. Because he was really hard to deal with when I was there. He was like fucking all over the place and wouldn't do his homework. It was a nightmare. And he would end up keeping me. I was supposed to be there for an hour a day. He would keep me for 2 because when I said I have to leave, he would beg me to stay. And then he would actually do his homework. So I said, all right, look, I'll make you a deal. As long as I live in Los Angeles, I will help you with your homework. As long as you do it as soon as I get here. Is it a deal? He said yes, and that became an 8.5-year relationship. Now, in that 8.5 years, he was begging me to live with me. I couldn't understand why. And he couldn't articulate why. He was 8. So it's like I didn't put it together. and he finally got taken out of his home because he was being beaten. And he made me the guardian of the court to help him into foster care. So I get a call one day, like, this is Rashawn's attorney. He has requested that you be his guardian. And I was like, holy shit. So then I help him into foster care, all this. If I had, just being honest, like if I had taken him into my home at that point or earlier, he would have been 1,000 times better off. If for no other reason than I was fucking trying to figure it out. So I would have been like, yo, I don't have all the answers, but I'm trying to fucking figure it out. And so I ultimately do end up figuring it out, getting my life together and going on and having success. And by the time he and I reconnected, he was already in a bad place. So that I have decided to allow that to haunt me. In fact, I've decided to force that to haunt me because it's very powerful. I hope one day I can be useful to him as well. I've tried to get in contact. We'll see. But it's, yes, I would be lying if I said there was nothing that I could have done. So,
tough.
Yeah, life is like that. So, dude, one thing that I think is really extraordinary about your style is you are so tactical and you're so able to mitigate that gap between wasting your time because you think your idea is rad and really being able to assess, like just through systems and simple questions, whether something is going to work or not. But rather than go down that because and maybe you give that as the example, but I want to know more how you think. Like, how did you end up here? You are, if you're wasting time thinking you're average, let me just stop you right there. You've developed this extraordinary mindset that even I find myself going, okay, I'm thinking about something new. I really need to bathe in Noah's content for a minute to make sure I'm thinking. You have like a first principles approach. So how is it that you think like that? Is it mom just told you this is the way to think? Is it you mushroom trips? What is it?
There are some mushroom trips that have happened.
All.
Well, I'll say there's different ways to access parts. I mean, I think a lot of us you're influenced by a lot of different things. The first thing that comes to mind, my parents.
What did they give you specifically? Like, what were they teaching you?
Yeah, I'll tell you the first thing my dad taught me is to ask. And so the coffee challenge is asking for a discount, 10% off anywhere, on any purchase, really, and then realizing after you ask, you're still alive. And so in all things in our life, it's good to ask. And I remember my dad, we would go, man, there's been so many crazy stories. We're at a garage sale. There's a guy about to buy this rug. And my father, he's from Israel. Yeah, I want the rug. And the guy's like, well, I'm buying it. He's like, how much are you buying it for? Whatever. $50 more than him. And I'm a little kid. I think I'm 8 years old. And I was just, I don't know, shared this story. And I was like, I was so embarrassed. And the guy who's buying is like, dude, I'm buying. He's like, $50 more. And then the guy leaves, right? And my dad goes, $25. And so that's just one example, right? Like that was a lot of my life. But I think what it taught me, he came to America, didn't speak English, like learned all this stuff. And he made a lot of his own mistakes, which I think haunted me in a good way. And so that I really think asking is just like almost everything in life. And then I think the thing for my mom that's made me somewhat unique in my own way is it just perseverance. This lady just does not stop. And it's on one hand, you're like, it's annoying as hell, but the perseverance is one of my favorite quotes that she says is the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And so she is so damn persistent. Like a buddy of mine says, persistence beats resistance. And I think I'm above average intelligence. I wouldn't say I'm like top 10. I've always thought of myself as a B+ kind of guy. And, but I think what differentiates me is that I think I just do it. And so that is what I try to encourage other people is that, hey, if you didn't like your job, great, let's do something about it. I'm not perfect in all things. I have a lot of my own mistakes. I think that makes me unique. I think another thing that happened recently that's helped me in terms of me being unique is I think I'm pretty good at saying, okay, well, what was wrong? And then how do I fix it so the iterations get better? And so I asked Mitchell, we did a Q1 review on our team for all our podcasts and YouTube. And he's like, can you give me feedback? And so I gave him feedback. And a day later, or later in that day, I texted him. I was like, yo, man, can I get some feedback? Because I was like, who am I to think I'm better, that I'm done, right? Like I figured it all out. And he started giving me some of this feedback. Like and at first I was like, fuck you, man. Like, like I'm the boss, like but then like a second later I was like, dude, this is a gift. Like how awesome is this? Like he is helping me improve and live a better life. And so I think that those are some of the things. I think ultimately, like if so, it's those pieces: feedback, asking, persistence, and I think from a professional's perspective, I think I just do a really good job like following my curiosity.
Can you give an example, like how you chase it down? Because that's one of those, people say that a lot, and I know what you mean, and it is super powerful. But give me an example.
Yeah, so we can do like business and non-business. So in non-business, I like exercising. I want to feel healthy, but I just got bored of going to the gym. Like, yes, I always felt like I'm in prison. Like I'm all with all these sweaty guys that were stuck in this metal box, lifting things and putting it down. And so I was like, I want to be healthy, but like, what other things can I do to get the outcome, like the goal or the functionality I want, without having to go to a gym? And so I just started exploring. And so one of the things I ended up on was boxing. And so I tried a lot of variations of boxing. And I eventually found like a trainer that lives locally in Austin, and I do training with him. And now we're not doing it, so I'm doing virtual training on my Oculus. There's an app called Box VR. And so I think it's a journey, though. I don't know if that ever ends in terms of the curiosity. And the curiosity evolves. But I think one of the things that helps with curiosity is also having like a reason for it. Like I wanted to be healthy, the desire. Or another thing for me is that I had a desire to learn Hebrew to speak to my dad's family. And so I kind of explored how to best learn Hebrew. And so I've found my own way that works for me.
I'd love to know what way did you find? Not to derail us too much.
Oh no, you could derail. And we can talk curiosity in business too. I have a lot of examples. That's my whole career has been professionally curiosity, but in Hebrew, I think number one, you have to have a goal. And so I did ayahuasca, and I was white people love saying they did ayahuasca, but I'm on the ground and I'm on the mat and I'm scared of the dark. I realized, and I need to work through that. And I'm on the ground and I'm like sinking in the ground in the coffin, and I'm looking at my dad and he's speaking Hebrew to me. And I was like,
is he actually there or no?
He's passed away.
Oh shit.
But in the trip, during the trip, I'm like seeing him, and I was like, oh, we're speaking Hebrew. Like this thing that I'm studying matters. Like there's a purpose for it. And I felt just connected to him in that. And so my goal, my desire is crazy strong. And so how I learned it over the years, I think what people don't do in learning is they don't take responsibility for their learning. They blame the person or they blame the book, but if they have a goal, that's fine. But now how do you do the process of learning? So I experimented with a lot of different things. Over the ways, I think I'll just highlight some of the things that make a difference. Number one, I think if you don't put in at least 2 hours a week into something, you will not improve. When I noticed I did an hour a week or about an hour, I stayed the same. So if you're not putting a minimum 2 hours, it just didn't change. I was like at the same level. And then I think you have to figure out your learning style. So for me, what I found is I need structure, and then I need like micro learning. So I have structure in that twice a week I have a structured program with ulpan.com. And there's a bunch of sites now for learning languages, like Italki or Preply, Take Lessons. There's a lot of these. But they have like
Are those sites with humans that are teaching you?
Yeah. So also I actually put out a video yesterday. I was saying here's 10 sites that if you want to run a side business or an online business, side hustles, go to these sites. If you can speak English, you can get customers. And so I went to Italki in the beginning, and I tried a lot of things out. I tried Italki. I tried a local teacher in Austin. I've tried different apps and things like that. I've tried podcasts. I've tried YouTube. But what works for me is twice a week for 2 hours with a teacher in Israel, and they have a structured class. And then every day I do 5 minutes on an app, a vocab app. And so that's kind of what I've found to work for me now. And guess what? In a year, it could still probably change. People love apps, so I will show the app I use. Not for the Hebrew. I use Drops, by the way, for the Hebrew. It's called Drops. It drops a word each day, and then you can test the words. But the thing that's actually more interesting is this app called Strides, and it's totally free. This guy's awesome. It's like this solo dude founder in the Midwest. But basically, it's a checklist of all the things I want to get done every day, no matter what. So this is like my Gebi, like what I was talking about. This is like a checklist of the Gebi stuff. So Hebrew, I want to do the vocab stuff 3 times a week. And so I did it this morning. And I've been trying really hard, and it's getting better, that every morning before I enjoy my rewards, I do my like core Gebi stuff. So I do some push-ups. We can talk about my push-up challenge. I do my Hebrew. I read my daily goals and my like mantra. Drink a certain amount of water. So I'm trying to do as much of that before I can start enjoying like goofy. Like to me, playing chess lately has been an obsession. Maybe not healthy. But it's like you can't play your fun thing until you do your hard work to, maybe some of your suffering.
I love that, man. So bringing it back to curiosity, you said you
Yeah.
had some business examples.
Well, I mean, I think if anyone wants to start any business, if anyone wants to work at any company, all you have to do is just go look at what you're already enjoying. And so that's all I've done in my career. So I was an RA in the dorm, and everyone was getting on Facebook, and I saw the power for me about how much joy I got out of connecting and flirting and talking to buddies and posting stuff. So while I was bored as hell at Intel trying to like quit that company, I just applied for the job. And so I thought, is this a big enough problem? Yes, connecting the entire world. Do I personally want to work on it? Yes. And so the money part was secondary. And every time I've kind of put money first and try to just make money, personally, it hasn't worked for me. And I flame out really easily. And then my whole career, like Mint.com, which was the second company I really went to, I love personal finance. I love it. It's like, dude, and the fact that we could build a product that would change the world's personal finance, I forced my way into that company. He actually rejected me from getting that job. But I basically said, hey, this is a cool story. I came to him and I said, I know you don't want to hire me. He said no. So I put together a 90-day actionable plan. And I said, I'm going to do every single thing on this plan. And you could pay me this salary or this hourly. And after 90 days, if you actually really like it, you can offer me a full-time job. And so he accepted. I killed it in the 90 days. I don't like the word killed it. I did very well. And then after 90 days, he offered me a full-time job.
That's incredible, man. What do you think about people who aren't willing to do things for free?
I don't know. I just see where it gets you. I think you have to try it out for yourself. Like lately, I've been thinking about that. I've had two people who work for me who now have very good salaries, and I think they have great lives. And they both started for free. One of them, I was at the Arnold Bodybuilding Classic, and he's like, "Hey, you're Noah. I think I've seen your stuff. Blah blah blah." He's like, "Hey, if you ever want me to take photos of you, I could do headshots of you in the entire office and the rest of your company." This is a guy named Brandon Wells, and I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." So he comes over, takes headshots. They look awesome. And he sends it out for free. And I was like, that's cool. And he's like, hey, you're doing YouTube. I think this is a few years ago. He's like, you're doing YouTube. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'm a filmmaker. I could just do a free YouTube for you. And so one, Brandon sucks at business. That's a whole nother episode we could do. But two, I was like, sure. So we did the YouTube video. And then I was like, well, hey, can I pay you a few $1,000s a month to just keep doing this with me? He's like, yeah, that's fine. And so that is transitioned now. He's the full-time YouTube video AppSumo maker. So for AppSumo, he does all video. And then Mitchell just as well. Mitchell's the guy who's now like running an executive producer of OKDork.com. He basically hit me up an email and he said, hey, I know you're doing a charity bike ride. We do this charity bike ride to give laptops to kids. And he's like, hey, I'll just volunteer at one of the rest stops. I was like, and he's like, do you need any other help? I'm like, yeah, can you pick up tacos? Because obviously we have tacos and margaritas on our ride. It's more of a party with a ride. And so he went and did that. And then I was doing the next ride, and I said, hey, do you want to help organize? He's like, yeah, I can organize a lot. And then from that, he's now full-time executive producing YouTube, podcast, blog, like helping out entire business. And the guy's like a total stud. And so I don't think you have to work for free. I think what you should do is if you're not working, if you're not employed, if you're not having anything, what I've always personally found valuable is go work for free until you get too busy and then start asking for money. And it's also a great way. A lot of people are saying, no, I always feel they're scared of rejection. That's why the coffee challenge is great, because they don't want to get rejected. And so work for free, because then you can't get rejected. And then from there, once you've worked for free and you're so busy, then you could say, hey, I'm too busy to do this for free. I need you to actually pay me for it.
Yeah, like I think in what's about to come with the economy, people that are unwilling to do something for free are going to find themselves held back. And I always feel bad because as an employer, it's like, yes, that benefits me to have people that are willing to come in and prove themselves before I have to pull the trigger on hiring a full-time employee. But I'm just telling you right now, if I were to give myself advice back when I was 25, right, the classic question, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self? I would tell that motherfucker, go find the person who's living your ideal life, offer to work for them for free in exchange for knowledge and connections. And you can put a timeline on it, but it's like, when I was that age, I was trying to optimize for the dollar. I wanted to make the most money I could, and what I didn't understand was that money only spends once, but knowledge and connections monetize forever. So literally, it's like, look, everything ended up working out okay, no complaints. But, oh my God, my journey could have been a lot shorter if I had gone direct to the person who's doing the kind of thing that I wanted to do. So that does make me very sad. And it's such simple advice. So when I hear people, and look, I think things are probably about to shift, But there was like a real sense of like, fuck you, I'm going to get paid what I'm worth.
Oh,
And
God.
I'm like, bro, if you're optimizing for the dollars your whole life, I promise you're not going to end up being very happy at the end of this.
Well, the two things that I've noticed from it is I'll give a script. So there's two things I've observed. So if you're trying to work for free, don't email Tom, don't tweet at Tom, don't leave Tom a comment, don't email Noah and say, hey, what do you need help with?
Yes, oh
Hey,
God, that drives me crazy.
That's all they do, right? And they're like, hey, it's like asking someone, what do you want for dinner? Tell them, hey, here's what I'm going to make you. I'm making you sushi. It's so much easier to say, yes, I want sushi. No, I don't want sushi. Then figuring out a whole dinner thing. It's a lot less mental energy. So when you're emailing anyone, I'll give just a quick script. But basically, it's like, hey, I hope you're doing awesome. Here's how you changed my life. Because, of course, everyone likes to hear that. I know this is wild, but I know it's a wild time, but I'm reaching out about doing specifically X. And this is the result you're going to get from X. And I've done it before and happy to do it for you at no cost. Is this something you're interested in? And then P.S., like I said, I'm a big fan, so let me know what would make this a no-brainer for you. And so I was talking with a YouTuber today. His name's Nick Nimmons. He does amazing YouTube about OBS, like how to do these live streams.
OBS? What's that?
Oh, dude, this is like my new obsession. I think if all the people are unemployed, every day or every week they should try to learn one new thing.
Great advice.
That's been something that I've been trying to focus on more. Like either I'm learning chess each day, like doing puzzles, or I have a chess coach, or I've been doing OBS. So like I emailed him and he's actually, I'll tell you, let me finish one thing and I'll come back on that. But with him, he said, if you're emailing to do a collab on YouTube, the first thing you do is you email them 3 things you can do for them. And I was like, that is great. He's like, don't just email saying, hey, let's collab. Say, hey, here's your most popular videos. Why don't we do these 3 specific videos that we can put on my channel for you that'll help grow your channel? And so you're actually making it crystal clear, beneficial to them to help you. The second thing he did, which changed my entire week so far, and I'm really excited about it, is that I emailed him. I said, he didn't know me. I just said, hey, I want to pay you $250 to give me a consult on OBS project. And so OBS is basically, it's an open source project for doing video. A lot of Twitch guys, so Twitch and like all the video gamers are using it. And now people that are doing YouTube Live and Facebook Live and a little bit with Zoom are starting to use OBS because you can make these amazing, amazing looking like super produced videos at home, which I like. Because the more that I can do videos where it's just me getting on the camera, doing a few slides, and it's like, if I can make it easy to do, I'll do it. It's the same reason people put their shoes by their door for runs. It's like, well, I see the shoes there, might as well just step in and get the hell out. And we can talk more OBS, but so Nick, I emailed him saying, hey, can I just pay you $250 to meet with me for an hour and then just go over OBS with me? And he replied, and this has impacted my week big time. He said, hey, right now I'm doing volunteer 1 hour, 1 to 2 hours a week. So I'd love to get on a call. When can you meet? And so because of that, I thought that was really interesting.
Wow.
I'm doing that on Thursday. So on Thursday, I blocked out an hour and a half, and I'm just going to post it up to my audience and our customers and say, I'll get on the phone and help anyone for up to 2 hours right now. And I think the thing I would highlight is that if you're asking someone to work for free, if you're asking for something else, are you doing it down? And I think that's an important thing. I have to always remind myself, like, as much as like, okay, I want to meet Jeff Bezos. I think that'd be fucking awesome, right? We're both bald. I like how he runs his company. Am I still, you can't ask up unless you're helping down as well. So I think him doing that inspired me to do that this week. And it's hopefully, if it's something that it's energizing, I'm going to try to do that throughout the rest of the week, throughout the rest of my life. But yeah, then the business stuff with the curiosity, I mean, that's all it's been. Like, even today with appsumo.com, I said, I just love software deals. Like, we got this, there's an app called Rocket. I don't know if do you use a Mac?
Yeah. I don't know Rocket.
Yeah. Oh, I'll send you the link afterwards. But basically, Rocket is a really easy way to do emojis to people. So I can like really quickly write you an emoji. So like I just wrote happy woman to you as an emoji. I'll send you Rocket. It's on AppSumo for free. But
I didn't know you could send in Skype, that you can send emojis. That was cool.
I sent it in your chat. But so I just hit up this guy. We hit Ullman on our team, hit him up and we said, hey, we love your product. Can we promote it? And he said, yeah. And so for me, I just loved, and I was curious about online businesses. I was curious about marketing because I know I've always been interested in promoting. And so 10 years ago, I was like, well, how do we start helping promote marketing tools, online software tools? And that's where AppSumo came. And then even like our latest products, we have 2 latest ones. One is sendfox.com. It's email marketing for YouTubers and content creators. And guess what? I'm a YouTuber. I'm a content creator. And I want to explore like making a tool that works for me. And so we're doing, that's, sometimes I think it doesn't work, but that's part of the game. And then you have to kind of keep, I think that what I'd imagine you say, which I really believe in, is that are you at least solving problems that you wanted to be solving? Because I think the times when I veer off, like we did this thing for Shopify, like an email marketing tool for Shopify called FAM. We spent maybe 7-8 months on it. In terms of salaries, we probably spent, I don't know about $1 million, but somewhere close to that in salaries. And I think we have maybe 1,000 people using it. We make about $1,000 a month.
Oh.
Yeah. That's money that could have been in the teammates' pockets and my pockets. I could have, bought more Miatas, whatever that is. And so, but here's the thing. I don't use Shopify. I like Shopify, but I don't give a shit about email marketing on Shopify. It's not something that matters to me. And so what we did is that we said, well, what do we really care about? And we said, we just like promoting dope products. Like I love finding cool shoes. Like I wear Suaves. That's my favorite shoe brand. I wear Saks underwear. I use an Uller. I have an Oura ring. Like those are things I love. So we built a site called Haul Drop, HAUL drop.com. It's basically like a Reddit or product hunt for products because I love these products and I love promoting them, but I don't want to be their email marketing tool. I just want to promote them. And so we built a site that just does that.
Is it all affiliate links or what?
We don't have that. We don't have that part kind of figured out yet. We're going to start testing monetization.
So literally it's just, hey, I know that this could be a play if I can get eyeballs here. Let me build it and see where it goes.
Yes and no. So if you listen to a lot of my advice, I'm very big on limitation. Generally what I recommend for anyone trying to start any business is 48 hours and you have to make $100.
How'd you make $100 off this?
So this one, I'll tell you, I'll give you 2 examples because I think people think, well, I'm not a developer. So originally with this one, there's a product called Deep Sentinel. So I have it outside my door here. And what Deep Sentinel does is it has live security guards watch your cameras.
What?
Yeah, because like Ring, if you think about your Ring, it basically shows you someone stealing it. It's like, oh, look, someone stole it back. It's like fucking retarded. That makes no sense. So Deep Sentinel, it's this guy named Dave Sellinger, and it's right. Now that you think about it, you're like, oh, yeah, it does. They watch, and I'm scared sometimes to be home alone. And so they watch my door, and if someone comes to the door that stays too long or starts fiddling around, they're like, sir, you need to leave. Sir, I'm going to put an alarm. Sir, I'm calling the police.
Wow.
So anyways, I love their product.
It's called Deep Sentinel.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Interesting.
Dude, you should talk to this guy. He helped found redfin.com. This guy I talked to him for like an hour and I was mind blown. But so with him, I just emailed out to my OK Dork audience and I said, hey, I love this product. They're giving us like some promotion. And then they also said they'd pay me for anyone I sold. And I actually didn't even, because the economy turned, all those sales, I just told them to keep the money. But we ended up selling, I think I was going to get $200. We ended up selling like 20 of them. So I was going to make about $4,000.
Whoa.
So I was like, oh, okay, there's something there. If we control the buyers, we're more valuable than Shopify, right? Like who's more valuable, Facebook or Shopify? Facebook, because they control the customer. So with Haul Drop, excuse me.
I don't want to blow past it because it was so interesting. What's the fact that you didn't claim your affiliate commissions because of what's happened in the economy, dude, that's so rad. And the number of people that are doing cool shit and trying just to like help out where they can is so fucking cool. Talking about things where there is a bit of upside, like seeing the whole world rally around one thing and just find ways to be rad to each other is pretty dope.
I hope it lasts, man. Like I've said the quote and I fully believe it is that if you have more than enough now, you need to give. And like I have some offices that I own that people rent out of, and I asked them like, hey, do you need any hookup on your rent? Like if you want to hook up, let me know. Like I have no problem. Like we can pause it, we can do whatever you want. One guy paused it, the other 2 were like, hey, we're gonna leave it alone for now.
Wow.
And so if you're not in enough right now and you're like, hey, I'm struggling, go ask. I think this is the time more than now, not for free. Because I don't believe in waiting for the government. I don't want to wait for anyone. I want to be recession proof. I'm trying to figure out how the hell like I can take my own responsibility. But if you don't have enough, like go ask to help someone else out. So like here's another business. I'll just give you another example. I started it a week ago because people are always saying, oh man, I don't have a job. I'm updating my resume. And a lot of times in their life, they're wanting to play work. Like updating your resume feels like you've done stuff. Applying for jobs feels like you're doing stuff. But I don't want to hope that this schmo just gives me a job. Fuck that guy. Like, fuck that girl. Like, I want to make sure I get a job. And so I think there's different ways about if you do want to work for someone, how to do it. And we can talk about that. But I said, all right, I want to start a business. Let me just show people how to do it. And so I had a few ideas of businesses that I want. I want super Instacart delivery. What does that
What
mean?
does that mean? Yeah.
I will pay a premium to get me the items I want. I don't give a shit how you get them. Like if I want chicken, I will pay a lot of money to just get me chicken. And so there's also something beautiful about grocery stores now that people appreciate the selections we have, and now you're like, oh, cool, what's available? So I think people never appreciated that, which is a whole nother story. But I was willing to pay for certain stuff to be delivered. So I think super Instacart. Another idea I wanted more gym equipment for my house. And the third thing I was like, oh, I wonder if people want more bikes. So how I went and tested that. And then the fourth idea was, is there a way that I can get someone who's rich to give me money? That's the thing. People, I'm like, yo, how to get money? Go to someone rich and ask them for it in a way that they're excited to give it to you. So I'll start with that one because it worked. I basically looked up a YouTuber. I don't want to mention his name, but I looked up a YouTuber. I created a fake Gmail. So I didn't use any of my social credit or my whatever the fuck people call it. And I said, I looked over all of his blog and his social media and his YouTube, and I crafted an email, and the email said three things. I said, I love your stuff. It's changed my life, which I do follow this guy, and I do like him. And I used a fake email, so he couldn't be biased. Then I said, here's three things on your site that you should do right now, and it'll increase your YouTube channel. And I know that's something that's important to you. If you're trying to do something that doesn't matter, someone fucking cares. So I said those three things. And at the end, I said, hey, if you'd like to grow your YouTube channel more, if you want to pay me $100, I'll get you a collaboration with one of these types of people. And there's no risk. If I don't get it for you, then you don't have to pay anything. Let me know. And so, yeah, 2 days later, 2 days later, he emailed back. He's like, yeah, sounds good. So this is someone I know personally, but he didn't know it was me.
Right.
And so my point, though, is that guy has money. He's making money. I provided enough value that he was like, yeah, I'm excited to give you some money. So that was just one of them. And the other one was the gym equipment. So basically all I did is I went on a Facebook group. I went on my Facebook page, a Facebook group, and my text message groups. And I just posted, does anyone need anything delivered right now? I have bikes, gym equipment, or anything else you guys want. And because I was just curious if anyone needs anything in my area. So I posted in Austin. And it turns out like at the company and then a few other people that knew me and didn't know me were like, yeah, I really need gym equipment. Can you get it to me? So I said, well, what do you need? I got on the phone. I think a lot of times when people are trying to start a business, they're passive. They're like, let me, I'll buy a domain. And I've been buying a lot of domains, so I can't choose. My domain buying is fucking, I'm an addict lately. Let me get a domain. Let me watch a video. Let me buy some ads, and then let me pray. And I'm like, fuck that. Let's just jump to the customers, see if they actually want it, give yourself a limitation. And so I immediately said, all right, what do you guys want? Because I actually started thinking, I need a website. It's like, no, you don't. So a few people were saying, I want gym equipment. I called them on the phone. I said, what gym equipment do you want? I said, I want 245 dumbbells. I was like, how much is that worth to you? They're like, about $100. Okay. Would you give me the money today if I have it? Yes. All right. Give me 2 seconds. So then I basically go on a 15-minute rampage. Now that I have my customer, one of them, getting your first customer is always the hardest. And it's like you said, it's momentum. Like momentum begets momentum. So then I basically called up a lot of places. I called up hotels. I asked hotels if they would sell me their dumbbells. And then the hotel said no. So I said, hey, where do you buy them from? So they gave me their referral, which is Precor. Called up Precor. They gave me their guy. Their guy said, well, you might buy it, but no. So then I tried calling local gyms because they're closed. And I was trying to see if they'd rent it to me. No one answered because those gyms are closed. And then eventually I found someone on Facebook who was like, yeah, I got an extra supply of gym equipment. Do you want to buy any? And I was like, well, what's available? And so he told me his prices. I could get it for 110. I went back to the guy and I said, hey, it's 120. Do you want these dumbbells? And he said, yeah. He Venmoed me right then. This is all on air. You can go on my YouTube channel and see that episode. It's called like Make a Business Live. He gave me the 120 and I was like, no shit. Paid the guy the 110 and then the dumbbells arrived tomorrow morning. And so I think the things that are interesting about that is not that I don't want to be a gym business equipment. I think a lot of people, it's below me, right? I'm too good for this. Well, then go be an employee. That's fine. Not everyone should run a business. But side hustles or online businesses are available to everyone without any money and without a lot of time. The two things that are critical is one, businesses evolve, right? But the point is just to get going. And so what I'm actually more excited about, I think is a huge opportunity, is rental gym equipment for homes. Because dumbbells are actually pretty expensive. But if it's only $5 a week, that's actually not bad. Like $5 a week is $250 a year. And those dumbbells only cost $100. But $5 a week I could actually justify. Or a bike. A bike is $300 to $500 to buy. But if it's only $5 a week, that's $250 a year. And then guess what? Every year you can just give them a new bike. And so I think there's a big business out of rental stuff that's really easily available for people. Or just stick with gym stuff. But the point being is get going and you can evolve it. And I think a lot of people are just like, let's just watch more videos till it magically happens.
Dude, literally, I am in awe, man. That is so rad. That is so you. The fact that you could literally just there in an episode live get a business going. And what makes me want to punch all of humanity square in the mouth is that some people heard that story and went, yeah, but it's only $10. It's like, dude, it is Noah. I have built businesses. I've spent the last 20 years of my life building businesses. And what you just described is so brilliant and so straightforward and so doable. You want to talk about you just made real entrepreneurship accessible to everybody right there. It makes me deeply sad how few people will do that, especially, so basically, just to be clear, to solidify it for everybody, identify the need, get a customer, and then do the work to see if you can actually, your phone's blurry. The way your thing blurs the background, only things on par with your face. There it is.
That's my Venmo where I got the money.
That's so crazy, man.
If you could summarize, I'm curious how you summarize that.
So, yeah, to me it was you identified the need, you found the customer, and then you went and actually did the work to make it happen. Instead of building a website and like putting in, 3 months of work, building the foundation and writing the copy and getting the ad and, the domain name and all that shit. Like you literally just, all right, what's the need? Who's the customer? And then boom, I'll go now deal with what I have to do. And the fact that you didn't do anything fancy, that it was literally picking up the phone and making a few phone calls.
Brute force, man. I think people get it backwards. And I think at the end of the day, it's work, right? And so I love people taking action. Like one of the things I wanted to experiment, if you're down, like this is going to go on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
I'll pay $500, personally out of my own cash, for a comment. I'd love for you to put in the description. Like, I want someone to take action today. That's the thing with videos, and the thing that I try to discourage people from is like, don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till tomorrow. Why not just try to see if you can do it today? And so I'll pay $500. Put whatever it is that you've been wanting to do. Just say in the comments, I'm going to do it today. Like Jamie watched your video and was like, I've been wanting to teach people how to be an assistant, like she is for me, and I want to have a course. And I was like, Jamie, let's do it today. She's like, no, I got to prepare 2 more weeks. And so I'm bringing her live on my YouTube next week, and we're just going to do it live on Wednesday. And so lately cool. On Wednesdays, I'm kind of experimenting with like, let's try live. Like tomorrow I'm doing grow an email list live with someone else. So I'm taking one person who doesn't have an email list and try to see if we can get 100. But yeah, I'll drop $500 personal my money, comment right here, or put it in the description if you guys can do it. Whatever action you're going to do today, and we're going to pick a person. We'll check to make sure you did it, and I'll give someone $500.
If they've done it.
They have to do it. Like, I think a lot of people imagine it's a bigger thing. And a lot of it is just like, get going, man. Take that action for yourself. Build up a win. So it's like, hey, I'm going to do my laundry. That's maybe a smaller one. I don't know if we'll choose you to win, but choose something that you could take action, do something now. And then the best one, or the one, not even best one, the one we enjoy, we'll check, make sure you did, and we'll give you $500. I will personally.
Dude, I remember you were doing, it was a live with Tim Ferriss, and you were like, this guy wanted to sell something like a hairbrush, like a bespoke hairbrush or something.
A toothbrush.
Tell that story, because that was so brilliant. Like he had a totally different business in mind. And people were like, no, but I'll buy that. I thought it was genius.
Yeah, I need to explore, it's something.
Walk people through that story though.
Yeah.
That's too perfect.
So Tim asked me to come on and talk about business stuff. And I've never really thought I'm good or bad at this business stuff. I've always just kind of done it my way. And it generally works, but I try to, like, even if it doesn't work, I haven't spent a lot of time and money. So Tim asked me to come on, and then he basically showed me 2 different business ideas. I don't remember this. No, I remember the second one. One of them was the guy wants to build an app, because a lot of people always make the excuse, oh, well, I'm not a developer. I'm like, okay, we'll solve that. And the second one was the guy was like, I have a bamboo toothbrush. And that was 2014. That's 6 years ago. Before now, bamboo toothbrushes are common. That guy was ahead of his time. And so he came on the show and was like, yeah, I've been working on this toothbrush and I want to like check it out, and like, oh, I'm going to build my website. And literally on air, I was like, how much is the toothbrush? He's like, how much is it? $20? I was like, what's your PayPal? And he's like, my PayPal is this. And I was like, anyone here want to buy it? Anyone watching want to buy it? And then literally sales just started fucking crushing it, dude. The guy just started blowing up his sales. And he was like, what, really? I'm like, yes. yes, you don't need a website. Like my previous business, 2 businesses ago, was payments for Facebook games. We were the third largest provider. We did $30 million our first year in total revenue processed. We did not have a full website. We had our logo on a page.
Wow.
And so I think what people get the misconception of, and I can talk about an app or other things, is that no one needs a website. A website's job is to work for you. Like a website's job is like, does this help me run my business better around the clock? And I think I love technology. Don't get me wrong, dude. This is like my boner town. But I think it's like, how does this technology, like, how is this helping leverage me? How is this helping replicate me? Not, I need this to solve the problem necessarily directly. Because I think people do that first and I try to automate it. Oh, I need email automation. No, you don't. Make sure the emails work. Like, make sure people want to hear from you. And I think people get that backwards way too often.
Dude, there's something interesting about the way that you approach all of life with this, just like do it, move, and combined with part of your personality that never really hit me until today. So there's 2 people that I've met in my life that they don't judge themselves, and that would be you and Gary Vee. Both like, when you're having a bad day, you just say, I'm having a bad day. Like other people might try to posture or not want it to be true, and so they'll sort of shuck and jive. But you don't. I know you took some time off from your business for a while because you're like, nah, not really feeling this right now. I think it was when you and your partner weren't agreeing on what the future was going to look like. So you're like, fuck it, I'm just going to go explore and follow my curiosity. And I know you've said that you actually think that might have been wasted time. Again, not judging yourself. I'm just really taking a realistic look. What's that about? And while sure some of that would be a mistake, would you say on balance that's a useful way to live your life?
So I was doing some shrooms and 2 weeks ago, and I was scared. And
of doing the shrooms or the trip?
No, while I was on it. And while I'm on it, I realized 2 things. My other buddy did shrooms, and when he was on shrooms, he just sat on his couch and he just listened to music. And then I'm like talking to him about it. I'm like, dude, so what else did you do? Did you watch TV? No. So did you have your phone? No. I'm like, so you just sat there. And I think sometimes in our life, like we're fighting being who we are.
Ooh, what do you mean?
We're fighting who we are. And so,
because people don't want to admit it?
What is it? Is it that we don't want to admit it? Maybe sometimes we're scared of who we are in that sense. So for me, the idea of sitting on this couch right here on shrooms, just sitting and just being by myself is fear. Like that's,
really?
I'm very afraid. Oh yeah.
You're going to have to, I know you're trying to make a point, but I have to understand that.
Yeah, we'll go back into that, and I'll tell you how I'm going into that. But when I'm on the shroom thing, I recognize that, and I said, well, I just need to keep being busy. I was biking, and I was like, just keep biking, just keep running away from it. And it's not that I'm not trying to encourage that I'm not going into things or I don't face fears or I don't face challenges. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I do my best. But I realize that I just need to just be myself without apology. And so I think it's good to face the fear. So what I'm doing either this weekend or in the next upcoming weeks, I'm going to take some shrooms and I'm just going to sit on that fucking couch and I'm just going to be, and I'm just going to face it and I'm going to see how that goes. I don't know what that's going to do. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm just going to
How many grams will you take?
I have a vial. I can show it to you, but it's basically a vial like this. I take like a third of the vial. I mix it with water.
Because I know that 5 grams is like the dose of like, yo, if you think you're a baller, take 5 grams. So supposedly like you have no sense of yourself or that you've even taken drugs. So are we talking that kind of dosage or are we backed off from that?
I don't know how many grams actually it is. I think it's maybe 100-gram bottle and I take a third.
Whoa. So this is where we'd have to get really real. You need to
measure that.
Look it up. Yeah, figure out how much it is. Sam Harris did a whole podcast about taking 5 grams of mushrooms and being blindfolded, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
And
see, that sounds really scary.
He said it was fucking insane. So, yeah, he did not make it sound fun. He made it sound kind of like putting yourself through an ultra marathon where you're like, all right, this is really going to suck. But on the other side of this, there's going to be like some nice big breakthrough. But it definitely sounded like it was going to really suck. So I'll assume for now that we're not sort of in the soul obliterating level here. What is it about being alone that initiates fear?
I think just I don't know. I think I have to explore that. I mean, I think part of it is just dealing with just me.
So,
Right.
man,
And just
I hope you're okay with me pushing on this
yeah,
because
no, no, no.
I'm
I actually want to. This is
super
actually I really want
interested.
to explore this. I think
So, you strike me as somebody who seems completely at ease with the good, the bad, the ugly. You just don't seem that bothered by it. Now, is that a way for you to cope with something that actually does really bother you?
we don't hang out as much. And if I move to LA or like spend more time, we will, and you'll see it. I mean, I think I'm human where I go through fluctuations. I think less over the years, but I definitely have moments where, like, was it 2 Mondays ago? I woke up and I was like, everything sucks. This all sucks, and so I sulked all day. I just sulked all day. And one of my friends said this, and I really appreciate him saying it. He's like, sometimes it's just good. Just be with the sadness. And so I've really tried that now. Not tried. I've done that. When I'm sad, I'm like, you're just gonna be sad. And guess what? Go to sleep, take a walk, or take a walk, go to sleep, wake up. You're still alive. You're probably gonna feel a lot better. And so I've tried to sit more with sadness when I feel that, instead of just trying to have a drink or go do something that'll kind of diminish the sadness. I think the stuff about being alone, I don't know if it's a childhood thing. I'm not sure where that comes from. It's something it's been more new to me. I know my mom, as I observe her, I'm like, Mom, can you ever just stay still? She's like, today I did the weeds for 3 hours. She does that every day. There's no weeds left at the house, you know. Uh,
What's
I,
the
but I,
the neuro mechanism that's happening? Are you trying to change your neurochemistry? Like
huh.
the one neurochemical state that I really, because I'm trying to identify what is causing the quote unquote fear, which may be the wrong word for something. So the one thing that I'll say, I hate the sensation so much, I will do virtually anything to get out of it, and that's when I've really upset my wife. The way that that makes me
Huh.
feel is far more unpleasant than basically it is short of the loss of a loved one. It is the most unpleasant feeling I've ever had. So when I'm in that state, I am very active. I am either trying to convince her she shouldn't be upset. I'm trying to cheer her up. I'm desperate. Like I don't want to be separated. So if I've upset her, she needs to go take time. But that's the most torturous thing for me because I need resolution because sitting in that sensation is god awful. So I want to keep us together and talk and talk and talk until we can resolve it. Because when it feels like it's still ongoing, then it doesn't bother me in the way that it does where it's like I've upset her and she needs to go off and be by herself. So if that kind of thing where I'm like, what I desire is to get out of this neurochemical state. There is a sense of having caused pain to someone that I love that I find just insufferable. It registers like physical pain, and then I'm just squirming and trying to get out of it. So I'm trying to understand if it's something like that, or is it you have a negative voice that's kicking the shit out of you and telling you that you're dumb and you're never gonna accomplish the things you want to accomplish.
I think with the sitting and just the being part, if you think about what I'm doing, it's really just like there's no distraction, and the only person I'm really looking at is me. And I think there's a part of me that like likes a lot of parts and then maybe doesn't like some of the parts, and it just keeps me from even having to face that. And I think one of the things that I do appreciate about myself, and I think it's good to sometimes recognize the things you do like about yourself, is that I'm willing to go into it.
Mm.
And so it's saying like, all right, we're going to go on this couch. You didn't really want to do it. Let's at least go into it and see how that feels and see if you can understand that a little bit better.
And
I
what do
don't
the
know, because
mushrooms add to that experience?
I think they put your mind in a different place. And so, I've heard, if I remember before I ever took psychedelics as a form of therapy, that I was always like, oh, you fucking stoners, you're just druggies, you just want to have orgies, like whatever it is you guys are doing on this stuff, like it sounds like hogwash to me. And I think there's different ways of accomplishing the same desire. Like if you have a desire to keep improving or just learn more things about yourself or get, enjoy more of life, there's you could probably just meditate for a day and get that. I've just found through ayahuasca, I've done it twice too, and that was enough for me to help me understand certain things. And it's exploring other avenues of this stuff. And so the shroom stuff, I've done it twice in terms of therapy. The first time, dude, some of the shit that comes out like was fucking surprising to me. Um, like I didn't realize how much I appreciated our office manager. I didn't recognize like how much I want my mom to like I want to impress my mom with my significant other. And I was like, yo, where did that come from? Right. I didn't realize like some sadness of things. I don't want to open it up yet, but I had some sadness about some pain that I caused others. And so I haven't thought about that shit. That was just me finally having to face some of that. And I was fighting it, or maybe I just wasn't aware of it. It showed it to me, or I saw it, and I was like, all right. And so I went and I was able to address those things later that day. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I found this. I have found it as a form of medicine. I think you can go to therapy. I think there's a lot of different avenues for it. It's not really my place to judge. And I know people love doing therapy judgment or like a psychedelic therapy judgment, like, oh, I do shrooms, I'm elevated. It's like, no, I'm just trying something else out. I like what you said, fulfillment. I don't believe in happiness, right? I believe in fulfillment, right? I think that's where it is. And so fulfillment for me is part of facing some of my fears. Like I am a little bit scared of darkness and being home alone. I don't know where that came from. Never had any abandonment issues. My parents are super involved. Like my mom's a obsessive Jewish mother. But sometimes at night, I'm just scared of being home alone in the dark. And so I'm going to probably do a little bit more of that and face it and see like, okay, it's not so scary. Or what can I do to make that even feel a little better? So that's why I have Deep Sentinel and I have a gun under my bed.
That's amazing. Tell me about the gun. When'd you get it?
So I got a gun. Dude, it's so funny in Texas. The story how I got it is crazy. But maybe about like 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I felt I've lived in Austin 10 years. I said, there's certain things in Texas. If you live here, you have to get a gun and you have to get boots and you have to get a hat. And I was like, all right, I got boots. I have my hat right there. Maybe I can get that on in a second. And I was like, I don't have a gun yet. And my friend Donald Park and some of these other guys like Tim Kennedy, who I didn't know really well, and I still don't know well, but Donald I know pretty well, had guns. And I texted Donald. I said, I want to get a gun. And he's like, get a Glock 19. It's the best all-around gun. And I was like, and so then I started researching it, and I found like the prettiest gun, which, my stepdad said something really interesting to me. He said, you actually should get a gun that you could really shoot someone with, because it's easy to have a gun, but to actually pull that fucking trigger if someone's at the door. So I think he has like a revolver. He's like, I'll definitely shoot someone with this revolver. The Glock, I'm not sure if I could do it.
Why? What's the difference?
I don't know. For him, he psychologically felt better. And I think he also has a 22. So he's got smaller bullets. So he's like, probably won't kill him, but I'm going to slow that guy down. And so I can talk a little bit about the gun. So I got the Glock 19 FDE, which is like this full desert earth. Like it's pretty. And then I got about not before Corona, maybe 4 months ago, before all this stuff happened, like all the ammo sold out in Texas. I wanted a concealed gun. And why that is because if I wanted something in my car, or if I'm in a movie theater, I just want to feel more confident if someone tries to do anything that I could defend myself.
In Texas, you can conceal carry?
You can conceal carry, and I have a concealed permit. But there's certain places, if they have signs, you're not allowed to bring it in. So you're not allowed to bring it in, but you could. I think what's actually the most interesting thing about the gun is not the guns for me. It's that I took a self-defense class to learn how to use the guns.
Interesting.
And that was hard. Yeah, so I had a gun.
What do you mean it was hard? What was hard about it?
So it was with Tim Kennedy. It was called Sheepdog Response, and I did it with my buddy Eamon. Eamon's the guy who runs AppSumo. And I got this. I live in a small house, 800 square feet, and I've just been a little scared to be home alone. I'm scared someone's going to come in through this door. I don't really have much to steal, frankly, like tequila bottles and stuff like that. But I just scared they're going to come in, and I have a gun, but I was like, can I even really use this gun? If someone came through the door, could I pull this gun out and shoot him fast enough to make a difference? And so I was like, well, what would make me feel better? And to me, I get so, what was your word? Orgasmiastic?
Orgiastic.
Orgiastic. I get orgiastic when I see someone solve a problem, or if I solve a problem I have. That just fucking orgiasmics me. Orgiasmic? It orgiasmics me, dude. I fucking love that shit. Like I have bikes in my guest room, and they're always laying over. So yesterday, I bought a bike holder that I could just make sure the bike doesn't fall over. And I'm like, this is awesome. I solved a problem. So I took a self-defense class to say, all right, now how do I actually use a gun? Because you watch these movies, dude, when you're in a real thing, like it's not that easy and it's intense and you have to use some muscle memory. And so the sheepdogresponse.com, awesome class, highly recommend. It's super intense. I think they way undercharge what you get. It's 2 12-hour days, half day is jujitsu. So basically I focused on home invasion. So if they come into my house, can I fuck them up with physically? And then can I draw? And then they did a lot. The next 6 hours of every day was gun practice. We went to a range, and it's like, how fast can you draw it? How accurate are you? Like you'd be shocked from 5 yards away how inaccurate you are. Inaccurate's not a word, but how inaccurate you are in shooting. Because you think, oh, I have a gun, they come in the house, I just bang them. It's like, no. And so you have to get comfortable under pressure actually using the gun. And so that was a big awareness thing for me about, it's one thing to have a tool. It's another thing to know how to use the tool.
Yeah. Guns are a trip. Guns are a trip right now. I'm not surprised that you said that bullets are sold out in Texas. I know there was a big thing here in LA about the gun shop saying, hey, we're essential. You can't close us down. Second Amendment, but they did. They've all been shut down. I've never owned a gun, but I have to say, it's something that's been on my mind for quite a while, that it might not be a bad idea. It's like I either need to go commit to jujitsu or I need to have something. The number of times that my alarm has gone off in the middle of the night and I have to get up and fucking search the house and make sure everything is kosher. It's like I always think, man, I wish I had either learned to fight or I had gotten that gun because
Well, like 2 suggestions that have helped me is, number one, I have a taser, and I don't know if you can buy them in California. On Amazon, it's $10 for a taser. Wow. And I just have it on my bedstand. And I've told my fiance, I was like, don't ever surprise me at home. The second suggestion that I would recommend is a gun is pretty deadly, and you have to be able to use it. So, and I'm training, so hopefully I can use it when that happens. But you can always get an airsoft gun or bear spray. So those aren't going to kill the person. Spray? Yeah, you can go to Amazon, look up bear gel.
Bear gel?
Yeah, so it's a canister. It's kind of like mace, but this is like intense shit. So bear gel, I'll look up the link for you. I have a gun, so I don't feel like I need it. But so basically, those 2 things, what I'd recommend is if you get that. So I got really obsessive with home security. I went on this deep dive on hey, I'm scared to be at home. Let me fix that. So I went on this really obsessive how I fixed up my home. But yeah, those are 2 things. If you're not wanting to have a gun or it's not allowed or whatever, you're a convict, whatever it is, airsoft gun or gel. But the funny thing I wanted to tell you, how I got my first gun in Texas, you go to get the gun and they make you take a quiz. And by the way, so it was we did it was a Saturday fun day. So I was blacked out at this point. This is probably about 4 or 5 years ago when I got it. I go to the gun store drunk, I am wasted at this point. And I was like, yeah, man, I have a gun here because I ordered it online. And so when you get a gun order online, they can ship it to a dealership. And I was like, yeah, can I get my gun? And I don't know why you're giving someone who's drunk a gun, by the way. That makes no sense to me. And then they're like, all right, fill out the quiz. So I'm filling out the quiz. And they're like, by the way, there's a trick question on there. And I'm like, okay, fill out the quiz, give it to him. He's like, dude, you got it wrong. So he gives me another quiz. And then I'm like, I don't know. So my buddy, who's not as wasted, was like, hey, it's that one. Just mark it yes instead. And they just give you the gun. And I'm like, this is fucking ludicrous.
Not exactly stringent rules, yeah.
They should be way more strict on that. Hey, you're drunk. Hey, have you taken I've taken a CHL class after that. Now I've taken I think pregnancy, marriage, finance, guns, we should have extra requirements on all those things.
Or can extra you get a gun, you just have a background check, or do you have to take a gun safety class?
You don't have to take anything. As long as you don't I believe in Texas, because I just got so I have a Glock 43. It's my concealed carry. It's so cute, by the way. It's most important thing about gun is cute. Is that I went there. They check your license. I believe they check if you have no felonies, but that was the extent of it. And I took the same quiz again. Out the door.
Wow. That's a whole thing, man.
That's what's scary about being out here. One of my funnier stories for moving to Austin is the second year I'm here. I'm in a movie theater, Alamo Draft House. And I'm like, holy shit, a lot of people here have guns that you don't realize. I was hanging out with Donald Park, who's a black belt. You can watch him on YouTube. Jiu-Jitsu black belt. That dude carries a gun. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, you don't never know. But I'm in the movie theater. This is one of my favorite stories for guns. There's a guy that's talking in the beginning of the movie theater. And that's like, dude, I have a lot of pet peeves, but that's definitely up there. He's talking. I'm like, yo, shut the – and so I look at him. I'm like, shut the fuck up, right? And then he kind of looks at me, mad dogs me. And then I sit back in my chair, and I'm like, oh, shit, that guy could have a gun. So I take a piece of paper, and I write a note like, hey, man, I'm really sorry about it. I hope everything's okay. I fold it, and I pass it down to his friends, and I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry if I hurt your feelings. I'm like, if I bothered you. He looks at me and he goes, okay, fine. Because I literally was like, that dude could have a gun.
That's
so you just
crazy.
have, especially in a place like Texas, way more people have guns than we think.
Yeah. Did you hear about it was during quarantine, in Russia, and this guy shot and killed 5 people for talking too loudly outside his apartment. And I thought,
That's so sad.
yeah, that's way sad. And it's one of those, like, you never know who you're pissing off, man. That shit escalates so quickly. That is, yeah, very terrifying.
Did you have the thought? So I had the thought that we could go to full anarchy where my money in the bank and all this stuff actually doesn't matter.
Correct.
And the only thing that matters is shelter, food, water, and ammo. And so it crossed my mind. Now I feel more that that's not going to happen. I'd say that's a very like 1% likelihood. So I'm not really like putting a lot of energy, but I definitely was like, okay, I'm glad I have a few of these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, I'm not an alarmist, but I will say it's unlikely, but it is on the menu of potential items at this point. So,
dude, let me buy you a gun. I'll get you a pretty gun.
Yeah, my thing is like, when everything settles back down, yeah, I think it would be wise. It would be wise. So,
I think, the other thing is you have to have, I think guns, they're scary. I'm still a little scared of it. And I think you have to figure out, well, what am I really trying to accomplish?
Yeah, I think it is very wise to be afraid of that gun. So I've been to shooting ranges, and the sense of holding danger in my hand is very real. If you've seen I've seen far too many YouTube videos where you see the one where the kid, one of the weddings where they fire the guns in the air and the guy's firing the gun in the air and he sets it on the table, a 2-year-old picks it up, shoots and kills him. Fuck, that was rough. That was hard to watch. That kid, he's going to grow up without a dad but he won't even remember it. I mean, that's super gnarly. There was another one where they're out at some sort of outside gun range and they give an Uzi to a 7-year-old and she's firing it. And of course she's trailing and the guy blocks it so she can't go too far, and he just stops paying attention and she does it again and shoots him in the head. He's dead. So it's guns are fucking lethal, man. You cannot play around with that shit. So if I were to get one, I would train the shit out of myself. That would be one where you don't go for basic proficiency, you go for mastery. You can't fuck around with that stuff. So what I'm interested in with guns, this is not something I thought we were going to be talking about, but the fact that what ungodly number of people, even in war, where it's they never pull the trigger, I forget, there's a name for it, but failure to fire maybe. And I just feel and dude, this is the arrogance of somebody who's never come face to face with this, so I say this in full disclosure, I don't fucking know. But my gut instinct with what I know about myself, I may miss, but I'm pulling that fucking trigger. Do you worry that you would actually hesitate? Yeah.
Oh,
dude, that one I don't.
Undoubtedly, I'd probably hesitate.
I would be way more worried that I shoot somebody that Lisa is checking as well, which she would never. She knows better. She locks herself in the bedroom, and I go check. But I would be far more worried about accidentally shooting somebody than not shooting somebody. That shit puts me into a rage. The thought of somebody breaking into my house. If I were by myself, less so. But if I'm with Lisa, I'm in full protection mode. I would not fuck around with that.
The two things that I'd recommend. So I put up what I did for home security, and basically what they recommend at Sheepdog, which I loved, which is think of it as zones. So what are the zones of your house and perimeter? The second thing is, do you have a plan? Right? This is the whole thing with all this stuff with the coronavirus is what's your plan? What's your personal finance plan? What's your company plan? We have one called the 30-5, which maybe we'll talk about later or another time. But with your home security, what's your plan? Right? And it sounds like you kind of have it, but you're waking up late at night to do some shit, which sounds a little weird.
If the alarm goes off. So we've had the alarm go off for various reasons. Super windy night, and it rattles a window hard enough that it then triggers the alarm. So in moments like that, you definitely get to find out because you don't know. Is it the wind or is there actually somebody in the house? I've had to do that several times.
Well, there's a book. So I want to recommend two things. One, there's a book called On Killing, and it's actually about what it's really like to kill in the Army.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So On Killing, I read it by Dave Grossman. That was a really good one. And then for home security, I can send you my list. But basically, I went from outside in and redid my whole home security, small thing. I have a cleaning lady. She's awesome. I love Teresa, but she has the combo to my door. That's a vulnerability. And so I bought a door lock where I could change it. I put up lights in perimeters. So you cannot walk around my house without the floodlight turning on.
Right.
I've locked up. So a lot of times I started reading, dude, I got really obsessed with all these serial killer books. They're so good.
I wonder why you're afraid to be alone.
Oh, that was a really bad idea, man. I shouldn't have done it. But it was I mean, it's so sick, but it's so like, it makes me feel like I can prepare a little bit better. But it made me kind of do more of this stuff. Like, all right, a lot of times back in the day, they'd cut your phone line. Now they cut your power. So you have to lock up your electric box so they can't cut your power. Like, are your gates locked? Do you have door sensors? One of the things is like, we have a window right here on the side of the door. You could just like, guess what? I have a deadbolt. You could just kick the glass. And so they actually make shatterproof film. So you could I have film right here. We're putting it up to put film on the window. So if someone tries to break the door, it doesn't shatter. And so then I added I don't want to say it, but I have a safe here. I'm not gonna tell you where, but it's somewhere here, have you reinforced your door plates with like larger screws? Anyway, so I think the point is like start at the outside of your house and then keep working everything in. So where now I'm like, all right, if someone comes in, they're gonna have one, I'll be aware of them, and two, like I feel pretty prepared, like I've trained for it, and I still could do a lot more.
Yeah. Speaking of that, so the jiu-jitsu, have you trained in fighting at all?
I do boxing now, generally once or twice a week. And jiu-jitsu I did a little bit, but it wasn't for me.
In what way?
I think the whole getting on the ground and just like rolling around with people, I don't know. Like a lot of it is like, am I enjoying this? Like, what's the purpose of it? Like you said, desire. There's actually this book called Courage to be Disliked. It's a Japanese book.
That's interesting.
Yeah, check it out. Basically, they say the same thing you said, which is like, what's the goal? And everything is from the goal. And for me, the goal is, can I defend myself and can I be fit with this? Because I think so many times with workouts, it's not fun. Like if I do a workout, I'm like, yeah, I was on a treadmill. I was like, why? Like, why don't I go and try to run to a coffee shop, which is my new thing. I try to bike to coffee shops. And so I felt that with jiu-jitsu, I did boxing, and boxing, I was like, I really feel like I'm learning a skill that's really usable because I feel like it's a little bit more likely to be used. And then I felt like the workout, I preferred that more. So I tried those two, and I might go back to jiu-jitsu. I can see some benefit from it, like the close game and different stuff, and people seem to like it. But an overall workout, I remember the last time I did jiu-jitsu, I basically got submission by a woman who reminded me of my mother. And I was like, yeah, no, she was literally like a 5'2", like nothing lady, and she kicked my fucking ass. And I was like, I don't know how much I enjoy this. I'm sure there's some twisted stuff in that, but I just didn't. Yeah, with suffering, you have to enjoy the reward.
Yeah.
And if you don't enjoy the reward, then the suffering probably won't be. You're not going to want to do the suffering.
No question. Well, dude, every minute that I spend with you is fucking cherished to the ends. This was a lot of fun. I really wish that we were sharing a space. I'm looking forward to that. I really hoped you were going to relocate back to LA.
I'll be there. Don't give up yet.
List.
So two things there. One, have you gone to the Russian spa houses?
No.
Oh, game changed. If people don't go to the Russian spas, you've been to the Korean spas?
No, I've never been to a spa.
So the Russian and Korean spas are like the best. I'm one of the things I miss. Like, I think that's an interesting question. It's like, what's the thing you want to do, or the thing you're going to do once this is over? Is I want to go schwitz. So I'm building a guest house so I can build a spa in my backyard.
Whoa.
Yeah, I want a spa. And so I love schwitzing in LA. There's a Russian house. I don't know exactly. It's a Russian spa, and then like there's a Korean day spas. And basically you just go and you hang out and talk and sit in the hot tub and get in the cold tub and go in the steam room and you just hang out with your boys, or you just go by yourself and think. And it's a way to I think the thing I realized last year that made me feel good is I think we work really hard. Like, we're working physically, working mentally, whatever it is, but I don't know if we recharge enough. And so that's kind of been a big thing for me, where I go to the schwitz and I'm like, let's like plug the phone in, plug the body in, and get that recharge on.
So what are some great ways to recharge? So spa, got it.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this. It's like, I called it the 1-1-1 plan. It was just, I like things that are easy to remember because then I can do them. But like, I don't know, that works for my brain. So in terms of that, it's like, how do I create one thing a day? How do I help someone a day? And how do I recharge? Because honestly, if I do that, every day is a pretty fucking great day. And so recharging for me, lately I'm recharging with chess. Like, so I'll just do puzzles, or I'll do chess games. I do 1-minute games on chess.com. Last night, I actually felt recharged just doing studying OBS project. So I was just watching videos. And then the sauna is a big one. And so I can't sauna right now, so I have to figure out an alternative. So I have one of those, like, you see them everywhere, those massage guns.
Yeah, okay.
they're fucking cheesy. I don't know. I'm sure some, hipster scientist person could tell you they suck or not. But last night I sat for 15 minutes. I just like brrr, all over my legs, and I felt pretty damn great. And so I think part of that is just like giving yourself some space. So in my calendar, I have automatic blocks of time that are recharge time. So every Wednesday is my schwitz day from 4 to 6, and every Friday from 10 to 11 is my massage. And so it's a little bit hard because I'm stuck inside now and I can't necessarily get those, but basically I've blocked out that time. And then once a month I like to do sound healing. Basically, it's kind of like a meditation where there's a lady named Carol at Zero Gravity Spa in Austin. I think she's doing online now too. But she basically does this crazy singing. Like they're called sound baths or sound healing. And you basically lay on the floor and she sings stuff that you're like, I can't believe this is a human. And I just feel afterwards I feel recharged. And so I think everyone might have different things, but it's recognizing that and then doing a little bit more of that each day or weekly.
Yeah, that's one thing I will say that I have taken the time. So you said at the very beginning, don't let the Corona crisis go to waste. I've really tried to change some of my long-standing, almost dogmatic habits and see, like, is there something else that I will get more out of that's more fulfilling, more productive, more enjoyable, whatever the case may be. And so that's been nice, like to sort of just test different things. I had so much momentum in my old way of life, getting to work, the speed at which that I could do it, optimizing every moment of the day. But having this lingering thought of like, okay, you've gotten, this far acting this way, but like, is there more and more? You could define it a lot of different ways, more joy, more insight, more success, whatever. But is there something else to try? And so that was running in the back of my mind. So when this all happened, it was like, all right, now's the time. The chessboard's been turned over. What do we do that's new and different? And it's been really fun. And some things that I think that I'll keep forever, some things that probably were a bit indulgent, but it's been really fun to experiment with a lot of different things. So it's been nice.
What's one thing that you've changed that you're like going to keep?
So in the mornings now, as a part of my morning routine, I take in a piece of what you would probably call recharging content that is, so I never let myself engage with fiction content except on the weekends. So it's always, if I'm learning something, I'll do it. And then it hit me a while ago, like this is a little bit silly. We're building the next Disney, and yet I don't allow myself to watch any or even read fiction. So I was like, all right, let's start injecting as a part of the workout, meditation, all of that, because I'm usually up so early. Let's inject, for me, it's been watching some anime. So I missed anime. Anime, like I was too young. I had G.I. Joe and Transformers, but then I didn't have anime, which has been like the thing for almost 20 years now for kids. And so I was like, I'm trying to make content that they'll resonate with, but I'm blind to all of this. I've read a fair amount of manga, but I'm totally blind to anime. So let me start watching it. Some of it's really good. So I've been really, really impressed, and that's been fun. It gets me excited, gets your creative juices flowing. And so to watch a piece of that every morning has really been fun. And like you, I like change. Change for even just the sake of change is fun. Change. You and I both. Well, and then, go ahead.
Yeah. No. One thing that I did realize about this, I love the uncertainty. For me, I didn't even realize like this. I thrive in this chaos. Like when it goes back and we're all back to normal, I know maybe that's boring, and so I have to figure out how to structure it for me effectively.
Dude, that is very well said. That's something that I think I have liked the sudden shock to the system. This is how I felt the same way about this that I felt when I left Quest. Everybody was like, oh, was that hard for you? Quest is your identity. I was like, absolutely not. Like, I decided to leave. That was it. And literally on Monday I was at Quest, and on Tuesday I was at Impact Theory. And so it's like that for me, the just radical transformation of your life in a very short period of time, far more fun when it's attached to something positive than when it's attached to something negative. But having that like jarring radical change, if you know how to frame it, if you know how to react to it, for me is very interesting because it allows you to retest all your old assumptions. The first time this happened to me was when I left Tacoma and I came to school here. Up until the day that I arrived in Los Angeles, my goal was to become a stand-up comic. And then when I got here, I was like, this is my chance to reinvent myself. Because you don't realize how much of being funny is people expecting you to be funny. And so they're sort of waiting for the joke, waiting for it. And so it gets easy to deliver. And especially back then, it was like, I'm doing comedy basically for, call it 20 or 30 people that I see in all different moments, but they know me and they find me funny. And so there's, it's safe. And so you're cracking jokes. So anyway, I come to LA, decide I want to take myself more seriously. And that radical changes. I didn't know a single human being in Los Angeles. And so having to re-meet everybody, reestablish who I am. Nobody's expecting me to be funny. So I was like, I'm going to take myself more seriously. I want to be an artist. And so no one thought of me as funny at all. And then I remember one day, I don't know how or why, but call it November or December. So people had gotten to know me over 4 months. And one night it just hit me. And I started basically doing a stand-up routine at the dinner table. And people were like, who the fuck are you? Like, what is this? That was fun. The first time my wife went back with me to Tacoma, and people are expecting me to be funny. So I slip into funny. And she was like, oh my God. She was like, I didn't even recognize you. This is so crazy. So that ability to like reinvent, to take advantage of these moments of chaos, I find very exciting.
So there's a few things we can come back to at the beginning, but do you have a joke or do you have any jokes that...
I was never a joke teller. It was always stories.
Do you have any stories? Do you have a story you could do?
It's funny. No, not like that. It's so when I do live events now, so we do Impact Theory has its own live events back when that was a thing. And for whatever reason, there was something about the setup of those. I was on a stage. Both of the events that we did were actually filmed in comedy clubs. And so I would do sort of the whatever this is, motivational, how to think stuff, but I was doing it like it was comedy. That was a lot of fun. So going back and forth, that would be the only, it's just saying things in a funny way. That was always my style. But yeah, that worked really well. We have those recorded, so you can certainly see those and get a sense of what I was like as a comic. But no, I was never like, let me tell you a joke kind of person.
Do you want to, can I try two on you?
Please.
All right. So people still buy Tom's shoes.
Yes.
That's the joke.
Ouch.
All right. So here's another one. I was, everyone's stuck at home, right? So we're obviously, what's one of the main things everyone's doing now? Watch a bunch of porn. And I think the strange thing for me was like, I noticed myself, and what I'm masturbating to has changed so dramatically. And I'm masturbating to people shopping at a grocery store. I masturbate to two people out having dinner. And even last week, I masturbated to two guys just working out at the gym. I was like, one day I'll do those things.
That is horrifying.
No,
but funny. That's hilarious. Do you actually do comedy?
I did stand up. I think it's always good to come into one fear or think about the things that, my buddy and I talk about it. Like discomfort is your compass. And so it's like, what's something that's like a fear thing? And maybe, some of it I don't want to do. Like I don't want to tattoo. Some of it like comedy I did want to do. So I did a stand up. It was my goal last year. So I went and did it and it was scary as shit and I was good. And I was like, I don't know. I didn't have the bug to want to go do it again, but I feel like I get to do comedy and YouTube, so that kind of,
I have to say your stuff is fucking hilarious.
Thanks, man. I mean, I think if you're trying to, you're a great teacher and I think you teach a very big vision, which no one does. I don't do. And it's very, very empowering. And I think you teach a lot about mindset and taking action. And so I realized though, my buddy Neville, and I've discussed it. It's like, especially with YouTube, is that if it's not fun, like you're not going to learn. And so it's the responsibility of the teacher or the sharer to make it interesting. And if you could make it fun and interesting and entertainment, the info is actually going to come in a lot easier. It's like when, they call broccoli like superpower broccoli. And so I think if you can do that with your teachings or your learning, whatever you're sharing, people will be like enjoying it more. They'll probably take it in more. They'll want more.
Yeah, agreed. Well, you definitely entertain, man, and you definitely give people powerful shit to think about.
Yeah,
I'm so stoked on how much content you're putting out right now. It's absolutely good to watch. Thank you for being on the show, my friend, and I look forward to seeing you in person in the near future. We're going to go schwitz. Me and you are schwitzing. I like it. So hopefully soon enough, man. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Conversations with Tom and Noah Kagan. Until next time, my friends, be legendary. Take care. The first step
is getting rid of the shame that surrounds it. Because the shame is what traps that insecurity. And the thing about shame is that shame can only live in secrecy.